So hello, everybody. Welcome to the Demetra K Show, where it is Sunday, so that means we're here, right? And we'll give everybody a moment to get on, but I just like to say that the Demetra K Show promotes Black love, knowledge, and understanding of all things that go on in the Black community to make us an even better people, with the emphasis on even, because we're already dope, but we can stand to be just a little bit better. There's always room for improvement, right? So I like to say thank you to Donovan, the recovering Democrat, for sitting here with me every Sunday and, just having a good time giving and receiving information. Like to say a big giant thank you and welcome to YouTube and Facebook, the other side of the conversation. We could not do this without you. You guys make the show so much more fun. And if you could do us a favor and share it so that everybody else can get the information and join in on the conversation, I would greatly appreciate it. Also like to say thank you to Marcus Guyton for everything that he does behind the scenes and making the show go farther. And before we get started, what's going on with you, Donovan?
Well, before I even get started, I want to wish you and all the ladies out there a happy Valentine's Day. I hope you guys got your flowers, your chocolates, and any little extras you guys might be getting. Once again, it's a holiday that people like to celebrate. But at the end of the day, the Demetra K Show and a lot of the Black shows that we do, it's another form of symbolism. I'm not saying don't celebrate it. It is good to get out and, do something like that. But let me tell you brothers this, and I'm talking to the brothers once again. Valentine's Day should be every day for your woman. And I'll leave it at that.
Say it again for the ones in the back, Donovan. So yes, if that's your thing, happy Valentine's Day. I almost said times, but then I was like Valentine's Day. To you all, I hope you're having a great day and you got what you wanted, whatever that may be. And so, as you guys can see here, the topic is all you're getting is dusty chucks and pearls. Now, whatever can that mean? Let me go ahead and put this up for you. All right, so here is a real tweet, and I say real because somebody asked me earlier, is this real? And I was like, well, why would they ask me if it's real or not? And how you doing? Oh, happy Valentine's Day to you as well. So I'm like, why would anybody ask, is this real? And then I thought about it because maybe they think, okay, well, it's so incredible, right? So anyway, Vice President Kamala Harris, she tweets rather, hate crimes and violence against Asian Americans and Asian immigrants have skyrocketed during the pandemic. That's why our administration, the Biden administration, has taken actions to address these xenophobic attacks. We must continue to commit ourselves to combating racism and discrimination. Now, I would say all of that is true. There should not be any racist attacks against anybody, right? Asian, Mexicans, Blacks, white, whoever. Should not be anything like that toward any group of people. I just want to go ahead and say that. Now, the other part, and let me actually give you, some reasonings as to why they're saying this. So there has been a rise in attacks on Asians really since the onset of the pandemic. You guys know that Trump went about the business of calling it the China flu and, blaming the Chinese for the pandemic, the coronavirus, infiltrating, if you will, the United States and I guess the rest of the world, if you will. And so even to this day, he calls it the China flu. Now, especially they said in New York and California, hate crimes against Asians has risen. Just the other day, it was, I think it was a 91-year-old man that was shoved to the ground. 61-year-old Asian woman was robbed and, other things like that. Another elderly man was attacked and he died due to the attack. And they said there's really no link to it being racism in those instances, but there has been in other cases. And so it says since March of 2020 until the end of December, about 2,800 firsthand incidents of racism against Asians have been reported across 47 states, including Washington, D.C. It says 71% of the attacks are verbal, 21% are shunning and, ignoring, I guess, the Asian community, if you will. 9% of that is a physical assault. 6% is being spit on or coughed on. And so also the Biden administration, they have fashioned a memorandum acknowledging that Asian Americans and Asian immigrants are at risk due to xenophobia and other, forms of racism. And so in some areas, including California and New York, they have made or fashioned a special unit team to, I guess, help combat the racism that is going on with Asian Americans. There's also a group, I guess some sort of a vigilante group that has formed in San Francisco called Asians with Attitudes. Now, I put the video up on my page, my Facebook page. You guys go check it out. I didn't put it up again because I kind of got like a slap on the wrist, if you will, for showing the video, because it does show an Asian elderly man being shoved down to the ground. And so they put a cover on it saying it was violent. So I don't want to get in trouble, get blocked or whatever on Facebook. So you guys can go to my page and check it out. But the group is called Asians with Attitudes. And so what they are doing is going to Asian businesses. And I guess there's been an uptick in what they say are robberies in the Asian stores. And so what the Asians with Attitudes are doing, they're going to different stores and letting them know, hey, we're in the neighborhood. We're, doing a lookout, sort of like a neighborhood watch type of thing. And we're going to protect you and make sure you're okay. And so to me, I think that's awesome. I think they should be doing that. And I think, not saying that we as Black people don't do that, but we should be taking notes. They're not allowing whatever they deem to be racism to be off the chain. They are doing something about it right away. And of course, we can get into that discussion. But the reason why I said that all you're getting is dusty chucks and pearls is because, as you guys know, Black people, we have been over here for nearly 500 years due to no fault of our own. We were drug over here by the slave ships and all of that. Now, just in the Jim Crow era alone, over 4,000 people, Black people, were lynched. And that's just the ones that they know of, not the ones that weren't reported. Okay, just in the Jim Crow era, to the 50s and 60s. And I know it still goes on, but I'm talking about where the KKK was just like lynching Black people just because, right? And so we also know that they have been trying to pass an anti-lynching bill for almost 200 years now, right? So the House has passed the anti-lynching bill, which wants to make lynching a hate crime. But anybody who knows anything about the laws and the way crimes work, lynching is murder. And what is murder? Murder is capital one. So that's already a federal crime, right? And so Kamala, Cory Booker, and Tim Scott, these are Black senators. Well, she's not a senator anymore, but when she was a senator, they came up with this anti-lynching law that has never been fully passed. Now it's passed the House, but it has to go to the Senate. And up until recently, before the Senate turned Democrat, they weren't willing to make that a crime, right? A special law. And so here they are trying to fast track things for the Asian community. And so we have to ask ourselves why. We know why, because Asians have their economics, their group economics down to a science. They will shut things down if they do not get their way. And that's the way it's supposed to be. Now let's go flip it over for a minute. And I'm going to get to you guys' comments. Let's flip this over for just a second. You guys remember, and it's still going on, but for a while there, we were seeing violent attacks against Black people via Asians. So whether we were going into their beauty salons or the swap meet or wherever it was, you would see a Black woman getting choked out, tackled, beat up, a whole host of things will go on. And I wanted to know, and I want to know, and maybe you guys know, where was Kamala and her tweets for Black people when Black people, and I also want to say this part too, because this is the other part that's implied but not said, is that a lot of these attacks on Asians are perpetrated by, well, I won't say a lot, but some of them. Some of them are perpetrated on the Asians by Black people, okay? So in the video that I put up, it showed a Black man, and I believe they caught him pushing down the elderly guy, and then 3 Black women, and from what they say, I don't know the full story, they're saying were trying to rob an Asian flower shop or something. Then they tried to run them over with a car. And so I want to know where's Kamala and Biden's memorandums and tweets in support of Black people who have been attacked by the Asian community. Now, again, I'm not trying to pit one against the other, but since they are going on full on aggressive, we're trying to protect the Asian community, and they should. But what about the people who Joe Biden stood up there at the podium and said, you, the African-American, stood by me, and I'm going to stand by you? The very people that helped him and Kamala get into office. Where are these memorandums and these tweets in solidarity for Black people? In fact, where are any of the legislation or the executive orders for specifically, I'm saying specifically for Black people? And so that's why I say all you're getting is dusty chucks and pearls. Now, you guys know the chucks and pearls are symbolic to that of Kamala. She walked around with her pearls on. I guess this has to do with her sorority activity. And the chucks, you know, people thought that was so cool. You got a, you know, vice president who's this Black woman running around in Chuck Taylors. And so we saw a whole bunch of negresses running around the internet with their chucks and their pearls on, thinking maybe the chucks and pearls are going to give you superpowers. Maybe it was going to make Kamala do something for. I don't know what that was about, but that's all you're going to get. That is all you're going to get until you get together with the rest of Black people and actually demand something for your vote. You're always going to get absolutely nothing. The only person or thing I should say that benefited from that whole chucks and pearls thing was Nike, because they own Converse. They were the only ones. And perhaps jewelers or your grandmama, because most of y'all was running around with your grandmama's pearls on and she's still looking for her pearls. So that's all we are going to get until we understand that we have to come together and realize that, as Malcolm X called us, we are political footballs. Everybody kicks us back and forth and uses us and delivers absolutely nothing. You know why? Because we don't ask for anything. All we wanted this time around was to get Trump out of office, and you got Trump out of office. And the other thing I want to say too is, you guys know this whole little impeachment ordeal was an epic fail because the Senate decided, with, you know, via 43 Republicans, decided not to go full on with the impeachment, I guess the indictment part of Trump. And so that's going to open the door for, if not him or somebody, other Republican that's just like him, to go and take the helm of the White House if Joe Biden does not do something and do something big. And he needs to do something for Black people, which he won't, because a lot of you guys who voted for Joe Biden are just happy that Trump is out. But what's going to happen is Trump or somebody else is going to be back in that office, because he already got more Black votes than he did in 2016. And if Joe Biden pisses off, I'll say it this way: Joe Biden can't afford to piss off more Black people, which he already has, if he and his homegirl Kamala don't deliver specifics for Black people. So I'm going to give it to Donovan, and then I'll get to you guys' comments. And thank you for being patient.
Woo! You said a mouthful, and I'm going to tell you just about everything you said. It can be fact checked, and you can look it up. Now, my question to the Kamala Harris regime and all this other stuff is, didn't she tell us when we asked for specific things that I'm not going to do anything specifically for Black people? No, because, you know, if you help the Black community, it helps everybody. So if you use that mantra toward Black people, shouldn't that work for the Asians as well? And then once again, ladies, and I'm with Demetra, I don't care if she calls herself Black today, Asian tomorrow, then Black the next day, and then whatever she wants to call herself. But once again, here's a woman who takes our identity, takes our story, gets our support. Oh, girl, we got to support our sororo. Oh, girl, we got to support a Black woman. Oh, girl, we got to do this for Black, right? She takes that mantra. And yet she gets in office, and the very first thing she does, like we've told you people, she never really identified as a Black woman. She always called herself Asian because she identified with her mother's side, the woman that raised her. She didn't even invite her father to the inauguration. her only parent that is living. She's the first vice president. Didn't invite the brother. She identifies as Asian. She's always identified as Asian, and you guys fell for it. And when I say you guys, I don't mean you guys in specifically, but absolutely. So now they got Trump out. Trump is out, and now they're expecting this thing to happen. And it's just like we said months ago: if the Democratic Party does not deliver, there's going to be a reckoning. Now, politically, you could look at it like this. If Donald Trump decides to start another party and he splits the Republican Party, then the Democrats might have a chance. But however, did you guys ever think that maybe this impeachment bullshit was another distraction so that you don't look at Joe Biden and what he is doing executive order wise? Because they know they won't do shit for you. They're trying to get you guys to look at this and, oh, we're going to get Trump and this revenge shit. When you ask most black people, well, why don't you like Trump? Oh, I don't know. I just want him out of there. He's not professional. I'm sorry. You got to be a professional racist for you to stay in there. So if you're a Joe Biden and you're professional about it, you've been in there for 50 years and your racism is to the standard, oh, that's okay. But because Trump's racism is not conventional, we got to get him out of there. We basically got the same person with a different face. So right on with the whole thing. Let's get to the comments. And I have my question for the day. I forgot to tell you if we get time. Here's my question. What is Clarence Thomas's legacy? If you guys could please answer that question for me and just give me your opinion on it. What do you think Clarence Thomas's legacy is?
All right, so I'm going to get to you guys' comments. And if you're in the watch parties and you want me to read your comment, click on the link and come on this side, and I'd love to do that. All right, and so Kevin, what's going on with you? Says, happy Valentine to all. Good to catch you live again. Yes, glad to have you here. And Eleanor, how are you? Says, thank you so much for covering this. We desperately need more voices. It is my pleasure. And thank you for being here and having this conversation with us. And Donovan says, welcome to the Demetra K Show. Happy Valentine's Day. Yes, indeed. Hey, Terry, what's going on? He says, what about ours? I'm willing to bet we're suffering from higher rate of racism at the hands of all other groups. Oh, come on, man. We are, but the Asians are the wealthiest group of people in the United States, even though they are less in population. And so that Dr. Claude Anderson told us, basically, when you have money, you can afford and you practice group economics, you have say-so in what goes on with you. So think about it. They're the least in population, but they have the most money. And so the politicians, they're not going to mess over the Asian people because they already know that the Asians are organized and they will shut them down. So, but of course, we are. We suffer at the hands of everybody, mercilessly.
Right. And this is what we mean when we say black nationalism. People say, well, what's black nationalism? Nobody understands what black nationalism is. The definition of black nationalism is controlling the politicians in your community as well as the economics of your community. That's black nationalism in a nutshell.
Well, and to clarify a little bit more, black nationalism means black first. So you're the black first. That's really what it means. In addition, and let's see here. Kevin, you say the country formed is wealth based on racism, greed, and avarice. Africans born in America, what do you need to see next before you decide to sever the bonds you have with the United States of America and form your own nation? Well, I don't know. I mean, that's really a good question. I mean, we've been through it all, and yet we still think that white supremacy is going to change. It's never going to change, right?
Yeah, and then you got to think about this, Kevin. They won't let us do that because we keep electing politicians that buy into the system that keeps us asleep and dead, basically walking brain dead zombies. So that's never going to happen. I mean, a lot of us that are awake, Demetra and I, we can go to Africa and we can just leave here. But the majority of us, because we're asleep, we're not going anywhere. Right.
And Eleanor, you say, you know what? I'm saying Eleanor, and it's Elnora. I'm sorry. My apologies. I read extra fast and then I'll be messing up stuff. So forgive me. Elnora says we don't even get stores. Yeah, we get them, but we don't support them, right? And then unfortunately, like with the pandemic, it said over 40% of Black businesses have closed. So we
will never come back, and that's by design.
Right. And so we need to do a better job at supporting our Black businesses. I mean, there's no, and you think about it, we go into our stores are closing, but we continue to go to everybody else's store. I mean, that is really how the Asians and everybody else are able to stay afloat, is because of our money. We see $1.3 trillion a year in the African American community, and we give 97% of that away to everybody else. And so they're able to stay afloat because we are economically stupid, for a lack of better words. And you say racism is white supremacy. So is the administration to combat white supremacy. Yep. And Elnora, you say exactly, Terry. And Donovan says, are you guys tired of the U.S. government and Democratic Party shell game? So it's like they just keep switching, right? And Terry says, you mean they couldn't make up their own name too? Asians with attitudes sound familiar. And let me tell you something. If y'all watch that video, if you close your eyes and just listen, those Asians sound like brothers. They sound straight up like brothers, okay? And you could tell they've, grown up in the United States and probably hung out in the hood, with Black people and all of that. But one thing for sure is you're not gonna mess over our people. So I'm not mad at them. And Elnora, you say you're laughing. And O says, I heard lynching bill doesn't mention Black people, and it probably doesn't. Just like a lot of the what's the name of that damn bill? Lift Every Voice. It speaks to all people, or marginalized people. Rarely even mentions Black people. If I'm not mistaken, well, it probably does in some parts of it, but when they say Lift Every Voice, it implies that, it's for Black people. But if you really read it, it's not. And
then that thing they had Kamala sit in with the Black Chamber of Commerce, that bill that they have, that's supposed to be the economic thing. If you read that, even though it says Black as the title, there's nothing in it that's Black. Nothing.
Right. Well, because they know all they got to do is just tell us it is, and we ain't going to read the damn thing no way. And we'll just, it's for us. And Terry says they're going to use those Asian anti-discrimination laws against us only. Yeah, because like I said, it's they're trying to imply that it's an uptick of Black on Asian, but never do they address the Asian on Black crime. And we know that's been going on for a long, long time. I've never seen Kamala tweet anything about Black women being choked out in Asian beauty salons. Never. I could be wrong, but I've never seen it. And then Donovan, you say your question today about Clarence Thomas's legacy. And Elnora says, anti-lynching law can't believe I'm going to ask if anyone was convicted. Well, they don't even have the law yet, Now, of course, we know that there's been people throughout history that has gone to jail. And recently, James Byrd, the Black man that was dragged behind a pickup truck in Texas. I forget which part of Texas that it was. About 15 years ago.
I think it was just outside of Houston by Beaumont in that area.
I think it was Jasper, Texas. Is now that I think about it.
Jasper, right?
Yeah, I think 2 guys have been put to death, but that's almost rare, But that was because they had heinously murdered that Black man, But yeah, so and again, if you guys are in the watch parties, click the link, and I love to read your comments. And Terry says those anti-Asian discrimination laws will make it so the police can target Black people who are victimized by Asians. That's exactly what's going to go on. And they should be. If Black people are targeting Black, Asians, it's a crime. It should, be dealt with, but it should also be the other way around. We got to have Tyrone Muhammad go to the Asian beauty salons and throw a brick through the window to get people's attention, but them hear that, Asians are being targeted, especially by Black people. Now they want these these Asian, tactical special units, all, and, and Asians with attitudes, and, the president, they making these memorandums. So people are going full speed ahead, but it's like, well, you should do that with everybody, especially the people that help get you in office, right?
Well, I got a question. Since these Asians, which I've never seen on any local news here in Southern California, being beaten in the streets or being choked out by police. I've never seen it or heard of it. I'm sure it goes on, but not to the level of degree where it's a major problem. So if the Kamala Harris is concerned about that, and the Biden administration is so concerned about that, and rightly so, if that's an issue that was brought to you, absolutely do whatever is in your power to deal with that. But did we not see last year a black man be murdered on national TV? A young black girl be murdered in her home while she slept. Another black man be murdered in his home while he ate a bowl of cornflakes or ice cream or whatever it was. Wouldn't you think that would be on their agenda?
Yeah, they're working around to it. And Elnora says, so we are targeted and we know how they treat us. Yep. And he says, I didn't know. Thank you. And what's happening? Anthony says, hello, facts, laugh out loud. You're talking about the pearls. Let me get ahead of these comments here. And Terry says, grandmama's pearls. Yeah, grandmama's still looking for her pearls. They better be happy church ain't really in like that because she really have a fit. Where are my church pearls?
No. What grandma doesn't realize is grandson or son took those pearls and gave it to his girlfriend.
Oh, I thought
Valentine's Day.
I thought you were going to say the grandson is wearing the pearls. Let me get to these comments, you guys. I'm going to catch up. I'm a little bit behind, but I got y'all. And Elnori says, wow, didn't think of the way she used us and who benefited. Yeah, we tried to tell people Kamala was going to do what everybody else does, and that's use us. And Terry says, now they got Trump out of office. Now what? Exactly. And Kevin says, absolutely. And the Trump administration has lifted the cloak off of the wickedness of the white race, and that such conduct is intentional. I have been asking Africans born in America to conduct collective actions and targeting specific offices and corporations to have massive boycotts. And we must boycott the state that constantly hires racists like Kentucky. Boycott collectively and set our goals proudly. Well, yeah, we should do that, but we should also spend more time building ourselves, and that way we can have more of a say so when we do, boycott instead of marching, right? But I know what you mean. And Elnora says, right, Terry, she's still looking. And you also say, now, proud neighbors, and then you say no. And then God, what's going on with you? And it says gaining one's definition. He says, so we shouldn't expect specifics because they already made it clear that specifics aren't the
plan.
Oh, okay, plan. So it's okay. Yeah, we should expect specifics, but we tried to tell people that, and not just us, but everybody, hold your vote until we get something for it. Hold the vote until we get something for it. But no, people didn't want to do that. They wanted to hold Biden accountable once he got in there. And how's that working out? And Elnora says, come on now. And Terry says, that's because Kamala is Asian. She's not black. Well, there's a lot of people who say she is. She says she is. And, but she doesn't. This is going to sound all kind of crazy. She acts black when it benefits her. Like when she's going to the HBCUs and she's dancing and, all of that. And you talk about she makes her husband some greens and that's when she acts black. But she really wants to be black, then she should, that should show in her policy making and what she champions. And we haven't seen that, right? And
wait, before you try to rush off. Isn't the black woman supposed to be the backbone of the Democratic Party? And Kamala is number 2 in the Democratic Party. So as a black woman, she should be championing issues that face in the black community. And that's not happening. So that goes to show you she don't give a damn.
Right. Well, she knew that black people wouldn't really hold her accountable. They were just going to get moist behind her being the first black female vice president. And that was good enough for them. And Faith Speaks Life. How are you? He says the impeachment was most definitely a distraction. Yeah, what didn't we see while they were putting on that charade at the Capitol behind, he should be impeached. It's like he wasn't going to do anything to him. What? See, the Democrats were trying to make sure that he wasn't going to run again in 2024, but they failed. And so he may come back. If not, somebody just like him. If Biden and Kamala keep on playing games up there. Because it's not just black people. But a lot of people are pissed off. They still ain't got those checks. Then they said it was going to be $1,400. When they lied and said it was going to be $2,000. So just a lot of, then the student loan thing, he wants to do maybe $10,000 and, just a whole bunch of, so it's a lot of people are like, wait a minute. We voted to get you in there and you dragging your feet, you know. And Mickey, how you doing? He says Kamala, the quote unquote, the chapati nightmare. What is that? Harris ain't down for the black family. No doubt. And not at all. She used us like everybody else does. And Elnora says, I've been saying it, distractions / clout. And Guy, I hope I said that right, says Nollywood. Facts. How you doing, by the way? And Jerome says, I did not vote. I didn't vote for Biden or Trump. And Faith Speaks Life. You say the impeachment was a waste of the people's time and money. Yeah. So here you think about it. There's people who are waiting for these $1,400 checks to come out, but yet they spent it. Never mind that they spent probably $500 million to this point just to protect the Capitol from people who might want to rise up again. That since the insurrection, since January 6th, they spent $500 million just to protect the Capitol, not including this impeachment trial that cost taxpayers millions of dollars. And so, but yet they want you to wait for your little funky $1,400 while they, tricking off money at their behest. It's crazy. And Eleanor, he says, didn't know her mother passed. Thank you. Yeah, her mom passed years ago. Well, maybe 10, 15 years ago. I think she had cancer. And Anthony says they do not like him because they were told not to like him. Right. I mean, Trump has done some things that's unlikable. Let's keep it real. But if you ask most of us, to compare the Joe Biden and Donald Trump, and they don't know how to. First of all they know is Trump is bad. But then when you tell them about Biden's record, it's like, well, he can change. People were capable of change. That's how he used to be. He ain't like that no more. Well, at least damn near dead. Okay, he spent most of his life being that way. He probably, forgot how to be that way. I don't know. It's just silly to me. And Kevin says, sorry for the always pointing out those suffering from the 5 monkeys experiment syndrome, but the average African American, quote unquote, is a pure product of that. And Arkeithia, how are you? Says, I take pot shots at my sister all the time regarding Biden. It's fun and enjoyable. Leather and luxury cars, how are you? Says, hey, y'all. And Elnora says, at Jerome, I refuse. And Faith Speak Life, he says, facts. And Terry says, oh my God, y'all gonna hate me, but I don't feel Clarence Thomas left behind a legacy. We are the same, if not worse today as we were when he was sworn in. And you said ducking. Yeah, I mean, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say, that's the thing. Here's a prime example of a man that sits on the Supreme Court. He sees what's happening to Black people. Even if he's just observing, he says nothing. He does nothing. How many of you guys realize that his wife bought and rented buses for some of the protesters or the insurrectionists to come to Washington?
Well, she didn't necessarily buy or rent the buses, but she was part of Turning Point, which is a right-wing organization with Charlie, I forget his name, but Candace Owens used to be of that organization as well. Right. So she sits on the board, but she didn't buy or rent the bus.
Well, indirectly, whatever. What Black man would allow, his wife to, it's a prime example of how we look at our Black leaders. Now we have Kamala Harris in there who's in a position to do something. If not, say something. If not, enact something. They do absolutely nothing. And that's our problem. And, and the sad thing is, I'm not going to say our generation, but the baby boomer generation, to them, that was equated to success. We see a Black face. But what the hell good is a Black face if they don't do anything to better the plight of their people? But everybody else who gets in those positions, they do for their people. LGBTQ, this, that, Hispanic, blah, Asian. We are the only group that gets there and we just don't do for our people, but we get pissed off and mad and hope that a white savior comes and saves us. It just doesn't work out.
Right. And Kevin says, big thing, practicing group economics. Yeah, we got to get that down and then we can kind of write our own ticket, right? And Anthony say facts. And Reginald, thank you so much for the compliment. I really appreciate that. And Faith Speaks Life. It says, Terry, no, hate her. You're absolutely correct. And Jerome, you say, where are the Biden supporters at? Oh, they're around. Trust me. You know what's funny? They never show up to these live feeds, but let me make a post. Oh my God. They be going in, but they never show up. Well, I had one, and I told him if he wanted to come on and speak his piece today, that I would send him a link. And so if he jumps in the comment section and I see him, he say he wants to come on, I'll let him come on.
But isn't it amazing? Vote blue no matter who. All these people, Biden has signed, they say right now, and reversed over 140 executive orders. Either he signed them or he reversed Trump orders. Over 140. Nothing for Black folks. Nothing. He had time to do Asian stuff, LGBTQ, everybody else. Nothing for Black people on 140 orders being done. But these Biden supporters and the vote blue no matter who crowd, we told you guys, but notice how they fall silent. The Kamala critters, I call them Kamala critters. Silent. Their girl ain't doing nothing but dancing. And they have all fallen silent. And I don't understand it. If that's your girl and that's who you supported, get out there and support them. But they're seeing what we're seeing. Absolutely nothing being done.
Absolutely. Hey, Jalen, how are you? Says the Black community has no one lobbying for them. The only companies that most of them put their money towards is bullshit. Yeah, and it's more symbolism. We saw a lot of that, especially during the George Floyd protests. A lot of companies, went on their pages, web pages, and they said Black Lives Matter and all of that. But, we didn't really see any tangibles from that. It was more symbolism. Hey, Arson, how are you? Says, hey, guys, came in late. How are you too? I'm doing fabulous. He says, I haven't even thought of Donovan's comment. Nothing specific for Blacks, but does something specific for Asians. Insulting much. What can you guys do to get their attention now? Nothing. Only thing we can do now, we got, about 4 years. I said we got 4 years to organize and say, all right, we've seen enough. You haven't done anything. You aren't going to do anything. And so let's send a message, start sending a message now to whoever may go into office. You are not getting our vote this time. You're not getting our vote until you show that you're actually going to do something for Black people. Dr. Claude Anderson said that we need to hold whoever we send to the White House on our behalf, we need to hold them contractually accountable, not just lip service. Say, okay, well, you know what, I get that, I'm going to do something. Because we know that they never do. And if you guys notice, this time they never even promised they were going to do anything. All Joe Biden says is, you guys stood by me and I'm going to stand by you. That could have meant he was going to stand by us next in line at Walmart. That could have meant anything. That don't mean he's specifically going to do anything.
No, but Dimitri, you're wrong. Once he gets the power, then we can hold him accountable after he gets in office. That makes sense. That's how we do it. But, but Arson, just like you were saying, the best way to get their attention, what politicians are afraid of, politics is about power. Nothing more. It's about power and the money, nothing more. Black people need to sit out of these elections and down ballot, the national election, sit the fuck out and make both of these parties pay. Let them fight it out and say, you know what, we're going to sit out, because by sitting out one election cycle, they're going to see how much they need us if they ever want to take the office again. And then if we sit out that one election cycle, wait 4 years, and we come back as a group, we decide who's going to be president, and that candidate that we're going to get behind is going to do our bidding. Because let me tell you something, Arson, those rioters or those insurrectionists, I got to stop calling them rioters. They aren't rioters. They're insurrectionists. Those insurrectionists, they sent a message to those Republicans. They sent a message, and it was heard loud and clear. Thus, Donald Trump walked.
Right. And, we also, as Black people, need to stop going in under the premise of, our ancestors died for the right to vote. They didn't die. They were murdered. Okay. And they died for us to get something for the vote. So stop lying on the ancestors, just thinking it's insulting, really, to think that they just wanted us to walk into the booth and just check off a box and say, I did it for my ancestors. No, the ancestors wanted you to move the ball. They wanted you to actually get something. And it's a damn shame that we haven't gotten anything since the civil rights movement, and we still telling that lie on our ancestors. I mean, come on. At some point in time, we got to stop believing the bullshit. And Elnora says, we're good. Hey, Chocolate Girl, how are you? Says, hi, everyone. Glad to watch the live. Yes, indeed. And Kevin says, I am not even talking about leaving. I'm talking about doing nation building right here. Natives would probably welcome a nation of allies. Absolutely. And Jalen says, I mean, damn, look at the way the world sees Africa. They see them as weak and helpless, yet they had the most natural resources in the world and have the most innovative architecture in some regions of Africa. And everybody wants to go there and partake. I think it was the ANC, nominate or elected and a Chinese official, the first time ever to sit at the parliament of the ANC, and it's like, are you serious?
There it is, the everybody crowd, and wins again. But let me just address Kevin's thing. Well, Kevin, I don't think the natives would welcome us. You want to know why? And I'm going to tell you why. The natives, if you're talking about native Indians here in America, they are standing tribes within themselves. They are standing nations within themselves. They have actual legal documentation and treaties with the United States. Thus, they can build casinos on their land. They can have their own laws on their land, depending on, what bullshit's going on. They are their own people. If the natives were even interested in helping Black people, they would have done so by now. And did you know that part of the native policy toward natives to bring them to the civilized world back in Andrew Jackson's day in the early parts of this United States was to colonize them and teach them how to be white? And do you know a lot of natives enslaved Black people? Thus, you have a lot of us that have Native American blood within us. So they were taught by the colonizer to act like the colonizer.
Right, absolutely. And then Gigi, how you doing? He says, I'm recovering. Both parties, they both suck. Absolutely. And Kevin says,
welcome to my world.
Yeah, and Kevin says, oh yeah, if we decide to collectively boycott, then we should do it collectively. Focus investment in the African-born American companies and corporations. Look at what GameStop investors have done. Yes, they have. They organized and caused a lot of those hedge fund guys a lot of nightmares, and good for them, right? Cost them billions of dollars.
Right, and then Kevin, I just want to say, I'm not picking on you, Kevin. We're just having this great conversation because you're bringing out a lot of points that people, don't really realize what's going on. You always hear people say, yeah, we got to invest in Black corporations, whatever. Name me a Black corporation. Where? Where's a Black corporation in the United States? That's it. Exactly.
Right. Well, we need to build them. And Lynette, how are you doing? It says, grace and peace, family, Black first. Absolutely. And Elnora says, I've seen the police side with Karen Asians put a mom in cuffs. She was yelling, I'm a good slave. The intent was evident. Well, yeah, because they know where the power is, and the power is always in economics. And the Asians have the economic power, and so they're allowed to do whatever they want to Black people for the most part and get away with it. Who is it? Oh gosh, Peter Lang, I think that's how you say it. He murdered a Kai Gurley in New York maybe about 8-10 years ago at this point. Shot into a dark hallway in New York at a high-rise building project, if you will. The light was out. He was afraid. Now, he was an officer. This Peter Lang was an officer, was afraid, and he shot blindly into the hallway, murdering a Kai Gurley. Had no idea what even hit him, right? So he was facing some time, doing a lot of time in prison. In fact, he was convicted, and the Asian community organized and saw to it that he was let off. And you know who let him off? It was a Black DA. The Black DA decided that, well, he's sorry. It's because the Asians organized, got their money together, and they protested and all of that, saying he didn't mean it, and he walked scot-free. And so that's the power of group economics, organizing, and to them, they could have said, well, it's just one guy, but he belonged to them nevertheless. And so they weren't going to let him go down for murdering an innocent Black man. And let's see here. And Terry says, I think is what you're saying. Did I hear an admission about grandma's pearls? Laugh out loud. Yeah, Donovan gave his grandmama pearls to his lady friend.
Well, you know what? It was only Mardi Gras beads, so don't worry about it. It was only Mardi Gras beads.
Some Mardi Gras beads, really? You stupid. And again, if you guys are in the watch parties, you want me to see your comments, click on the link and come over. I love to do that. Thank you, Marcus. And G-O-D, he says, thanks, you're welcome. And Anthony says, Ice Cube tried to tell people. Yeah, he tried to tell people and they just try, oh, we canceling Ice Cube. Oh, he don't speak for us. Who says that Ice Cube? I didn't give him permission to speak for me. Ice Cube was trying to, get something for your black ass. Ice Cube got all the money he can ever spend for generations, but he tried to speak up for his people, and we did not want him to go against massa. Him talking to Trump was an ultimate no-no. We should cancel him. But yeah, you got Joe Biden in there, and Joe Biden ain't even pretending like he's trying to do it. Now, of course, now they want to talk about they want to meet with Ice Cube, but that's a meeting. That don't mean they're going to agree to any of that. They're going to do it because they know we like symbolism, and we'll just be happy with saying, well, he did meet with him. What else do you want? He said he was going to meet with him, and he did. Well, the other part of that was he's supposed to meet and get something for black people. So I agree with you. And Corliss, what's going on with you? And he says Natasha Harlan's a killer received a slap on the wrist for shooting that baby. Yeah, so that happened in Los Angeles years ago. She was, in an Asian store. She was 15 years old. The Asian store, and the Asian shop owner accused her of stealing some orange juice when it turns out that she didn't steal the orange juice. As Natasha, I think it was Latasha, if I'm not mistaken, was leaving the store, the Asian owner shot her in the back of her head, murdering her, and got off. Now, she was brought up on charges and all of that, but she got a slap on the wrist. Got a slap on the wrist for murdering that baby in cold blood. And it's already a crime to shoot somebody in their back. But she murdered that 15-year-old, an Asian woman, and got away with it. And I don't know what happened to her store, but I bet you $1 to a donut, there was plenty of Negroes that went back up in there buying something out of there after she murdered that baby in cold blood.
How many of you guys remember the movie Menace to Society? In the beginning parts of that movie, you see the antagonist in the beginning. They murdered the Korean lady and stuff like that. That was the sentiment of the attitude that was going on between the Asian community and the black community at the time. And I mean, it was like, yeah, he shouldn't have murdered her, but it was kind of a reverse of what had happened with Latasha Harlins at that time.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And thank you, Mr. Nollywood, for the compliment. I really appreciate it. And Kevin says, marrying a Caucasian family said it all. She does not want people to call her a same-race lover. One of the surest signs that the African is suffering from PTSD, occupation, and wealth have no actual meaning for Africans born in America. Proud people start with their own is natural. How many folks raised in white households intend to prove they don't favor whites? None. Right. Go ahead.
No, I'm saying I was raised in a pretty much white household, and you don't see me talking anything white.
You was raised in a white household.
Pretty much, being in the military, living a military life. Yeah.
I know your mama black, okay, and I know your daddy black.
Well, you think about it. I went to Catholic school because and our parents of that generation, I was given the total white experience, in my opinion. Most of my friends are, multifaceted and stuff like that. I get this saying all the time, oh, you talk white. I went to white colleges and all this other stuff. So I've lived that multifaceted life, but I had knowledge of self, which I think is the difference.
Right. And Elnora says, spit in our face. She sure did. Then apologize for the negative backlash toward his position. Yeah, I mean, we've seen it quite a bit, right? And Terry says, exactly, Judge Thomas doesn't even write the dissenting opinion in our favor on cases. They hear that. Yeah, no, I mean, my answer to that question, he doesn't have a legacy. He has one, but I can't say that here because I might get in trouble. But let's just say, those raccoons are some very fierce animals. That's what his legacy is.
Yeah, I love that meme you put up. But, but at the same time, you guys, if you guys are watching this and you have a certain political hero that you love or you really like, ask yourself that question. What is their legacy? And if you can't come up with nothing, I mean, something, really something, that tells you a lot.
Yep. And Elnora, it says apologies everywhere, zero accountability. Yes, Gaye, I hope I'm saying that right. Mr. Nollywood anyway says beautiful. And Jeffrey, what's going on with you? It says, what up, family? And Kevin says, and LGBT is not a people. They advertise their sexual orientation and preference. They are not a new race of people. Well, shoot, you can't hardly tell nowadays, right? I mean, and almost they are, I guess, in their own way, right? But they have gotten so many more things than Black people. Not saying they shouldn't, but wow. I mean, I've even heard people say gay is the new Black. Have you guys heard that term before? And it's like, huh? Now, I don't want to get into the argument as to whether people can choose to be gay or not, because, as people say, oh, I was born this way. I don't know. I wasn't, I don't have any intel on that. But I surely know that I didn't have a choice as to whether I wanted to be born Black or not. So, I don't know about gay being the new Black. It's like, where do people get this stuff from? It's just crazy. And Tahiri, how are you? He says the Asian and Hispanic caucuses affirm in their mission statements that they are for their own groups to see. Congressional Black Caucus affirms they are for everyone. Yep. And we've seen that within the last, 10 plus years that the Congressional Black Caucus, they legislate for everybody else but Black people. I mean, especially with this whole kids in the cages thing, they, that's all they talked about. It was like, did you forget you're supposed to legislate on behalf of Black people? Hence the word Congressional Black Caucus.
Yeah. Or how about, well, if there's a Hispanic caucus, I'm very sure that they are firmly within grasp to advocate for their people.
And that's what they're supposed to do. That's why they exist, is to, to do and get things for their own people. But no, not us. We want to, we're actually a party of all lives matter. If you really, that's why it's like we get mad when we hear the term all lives matter, and then we do things that say we are about all lives matter. So it's like, what, are we just mad because they're saying it, but not mad because we're actually living out the all lives matter ideology? Like we protest and, I actually saw Benjamin Crump saying something about the crimes against Asians on Twitter. I was like, brother, you can't even win a case for Black people. Now you jumping on the Asian bandwagon. It's like, come on, man, really? It is really embarrassing at this point. And Terry says they make a point to not allow speakers like us to get a platform. YouTube commentators and real life friends and family have asked me to put out consistent content since I'm so vocal. I'm truly considering it. Yes, you should do that. But of course, like you said, because we don't own these platforms, we do have to be careful. Donovan?
No, absolutely. Terry, if you're going to do that, please, let us know, anything we can do to help you do that, if that's what you want to do. Absolutely. Podcasting. I mean, I like doing this as well, but Demetra will tell you, when we were starting our shows back in the day, we did podcasting as well as video casting. Just get it out there, because like I said, not everybody's for video. So you might want to do a podcast, but if you're really going to do that, let me know.
Absolutely. I mean, because we need more voices speaking out on our behalf, getting the truth out and the stories out about us, because we're not going to see that on mainstream media. And I think we really should stop getting mad when we don't. Well, they didn't talk about this on ABC News. Well, we don't own ABC News, so why would they? I mean, they're going to talk about your Black ass when it's about something negative, but they ain't going to say nothing positive. That's our job, right? If we would spend more time putting our resources behind Black media or supporting them however way we can, then we'll start to see those things happen more and more. But we can't get mad at white people for not talking about us. That's for them, right? We just need to, and then like you have these BETs. I know they're not Black owned anymore, but we allow them to give us garbage. Tyler Perry, I guess he's trying to do better. I don't know, but he's giving us garbage. He's been, became a billionaire off of giving Black people garbage. And so we should hold him accountable. We've made you rich off of nonsense. Now we want you to produce some content that's, more palatable and that's actually helpful for Black people. And I don't know if you guys have seen the Judas and the Black Messiah I saw that yesterday. It was a really good movie. I mean, I thought it was a good movie.
No, we don't want to watch shit like that. We'd rather watch the Salt and Pepper Lifetime movie, Wendy Williams. And, they have the Aretha Franklin thing coming out, we're into that. They can tell you everything about that. I'm talking to people about like real life stuff that affects them. These people are out of work, all kinds of stuff, healthcare, all this other stuff. But they can tell me everything about, well, the wigs and Salt and Pepper, they weren't even real. They were going to the side. How, that's our problem. I mean, in a nutshell, it's just like we are so in love with being entertained that we are entertaining ourselves into the grave.
Right. Yeah, talking about Spinderella and them don't get along. It's like, and that helps us how? Like, why do we even need to care about that? And Terry says, I think they just want me to stop nagging them. Well, to them it's nagging, but eventually they'll catch on. We had people in our circle that was like, all y'all do is talk about black this, black this, black. Now they get it. And so they start asking questions. So don't stop. They'll catch on eventually.
Right. Because wait. When you go to court and you say, oh my God, judge, I didn't know that. What does the judge tell you? Ignorance of the law is no excuse. See, so when we talk, we just talk so that it's on the record and it's been said. And so it ain't like you don't know. There's black media all out there, and we don't have we're not on here for clicks. We're not on here for clicks. We're on here for the knowledge.
That's right. And Eleanor says 4 years is a long time, surely. And Lynette, you say Kamala Harris' father has not muttered a word about his daughter. What's up with that? He knows his daughter don't mean well for black folks. Yeah, he actually has spoken out and said he was pissed, actually, that she tied her Jamaican heritage to smoking weed. Remember when she was on the Breakfast Club and she was talking to Charlemagne and, he asked her, did she smoke weed? And she says, well, I'm Jamaican, of course, And so her father wrote this long op-ed. Now her father is a very esteemed and educated man. He's a professor, has a doctorate degree. He was a professor at Stanford. He's actually an ambassador from the United States to Jamaica. And so he's not just some Negro that her mama, has sex with and there's some deadbeat daddy. This dude, is about something in life. And so he's actually said that my mother would roll over in her grave to know that Kamala embarrassed us to that point. But he also says that Kamala's mother and him, they had some custody issues. They had divorced and everything. And the mom took the girls to Canada. So, it's kind of hard to visit your daughters if they live in another country, let alone another state. And so sounds like there was some issues there. And Kamala, unfortunately, probably, listened to that of her mom and doesn't speak of her dad.
Yeah. And I hate this too. A lot of people take today versus how it was in the 1970s. Not everybody got on a plane back then. Most people traveled by bus in the United States and stuff. So again, it ain't like nowadays you can get on a plane and go up to Canada for a couple $100 and get back. It wasn't like that. So you got to look at the contents of the time Kamala, because Kamala's only a couple of years older than me, Demetra and I. So, or at least me, not Demetra.
Right.
Yeah. Demetra's still in her late 20s. But then for me, so in the context of that, back in the 70s, most people traveled by bus. So, it's very difficult. If this woman left the country, very difficult to keep those ties and bonds going.
Right. And Tahiri says, our numbers are going to be drowned out by population growth in other groups. Yeah, Asians is the fastest growing.
They are.
Population in America. And they're going to catch us pretty soon. We've stayed stagnant since really the 1960s. And so we got a lot of work to do. So, yeah, you're absolutely right.
And work to do doesn't mean having babies you're not supporting.
And if you guys are in the watch parties and you want me to read your comments, please come on over, click the link, and I'd love to. And Terry says, yeah, that works, as well as giving it up on the first date, then holding him accountable for a second date after he got the goods. Right. Like now that I've, bent it all over backwards and hang from chandeliers and all of that, now I want you to commit to me. What? Well, baby, you should have said all of that before I got it.
He won't marry me. I've been dating him for 5 years. I gave him 3 kids. It's an old saying. You don't buy a cow if you're getting the milk free. It just doesn't happen.
Right, unless you have your daddy hold a shotgun to his head, then that's a different story. No. Kevin says, let's honor Dr. Huey P. Newton by every African born in America registering with the Black Panther Party for 2022. I mean, I like that. Don't just register, actually go out there and help, or, whatever your gifts and talents are. If you're boots on the ground, do that. If you're, able to organize behind the scenes, but yeah, to get involved, and I impress upon everybody that watched that movie. I was really good. I mean, it was about the life of, Chairman Fred Hampton and him being sold out by William O'Neill. He was the agent. And obviously, it didn't tell you all that there is to know about Fred Hampton, but from what I know, it was a pretty good look, from what I can tell. So it was a good movie. You guys should watch it. And Elnora says, I'm ready to pop up at Black politician houses like they did the voters to voters in Georgia. Right. Even if that's the case, but even more so than popping up at their houses, just don't show up at the booth for them. When it comes time to vote, just stop showing up for them.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, there were people that actually popped up at the houses and were telling these Georgia voters $2,000, $2,000, $2,000. So they had pollsters that were doing that said that they feel betrayed by the Biden and the Democratic Party because they were telling people, you vote for this, you're going to get $2,000. And then now it makes them look bad because like they're a liar. And the Democratic Party has to be very careful, or any politics has to be very careful, because people are desperate. And so if they were counting on that $2,000, you might just have lost votes.
Yep. And Tahira says, in my opinion, our voices won't be needed by the end of this decade. Now, they're bringing everybody else over here to replace us. Dr. Claude Anderson says that you guys think that the illegal immigrants, if you will, are coming over here to help you to unify with you. No, they're not. They're coming over here to replace you. But it's always us. Ooh, we got the hell. We in Black and Brown alliance. Oh, there is no such thing. No.
Right. And you guys got to think about this. The Biden plan, so-called, hasn't been approved yet. It's immigration for 11 million illegals in 8 years. Now, in 8 years, there's going to be more illegals coming on board and all that other stuff, right? Hispanic population, let's say, is 38%. You mean to tell me in an 8-year time span, you're going to drop 11 million illegal people and make them citizens? That's going to take the Hispanic population thing up, let's say 2 to 3%. 2 to 3%. We're not catching them. And everybody's cool with that. And in a democracy, it's one man, one vote, even though they keep trying to disenfranchise people, mostly us. Mm-hmm. Once we don't have the numbers, it won't matter at that point. We're going to be done politically. And that's why the Democratic Party is pivoting to the Hispanics.
Absolutely. And so, Terry, you're asking Tahiri, what do you think is going to happen to Black people in 10 years? Well, shit, we're going to, for one, as Dr. Claude Anderson said, we're going to be, if not already, a permanent underclass. And shit, we're going to be pretty much damn near extinct. How do you waffle at 13% of the population since the 60s and survive? I mean, eventually we are going to become pretty close to extinct. If we don't start doing things, reversing things rather. That's a whole list of things that we need to start doing or stop doing. But yeah, it's going to be a wrap for us.
Yeah, and I have a question for you. Another reason why we've been steady at 13%, and one of the only reasons is because of affirmative action and our baby boomer parents holding, certain jobs to keep a wealth narrative just above water, right? The average Black family makes $17,000 a year, they say, or whatever the deal is. It's probably less than that now because of the pandemic. The average white family makes $113,000. So it's 11. They make 11 times more than what an average Black family makes. So now they see us right now in 10 years tops. Now that 40% of Black businesses are gone, it's a wrap. It's a wrap.
Well, and then you got to, and that's why I said the list is it's varied, but you have abortion, you have the wholesale murder of Black men by the police. You do have, Black on Black crime. I know that's not a thing, but I'm just saying it in context. You have that. You have imprisonment. So there's a whole lot of things working against us. And of course, we know, I don't care what y'all say, you can get mad if you want to, but there is an agenda to effeminize Black men. And if you have an effeminate Black man who no longer desires Black women, he don't procreate. So there's, like I said, that's why I said that the list it's long. So, and Let's see. And Lynette says, aren't most of the natives $5 Indians not by the blood? For sure. That's what, yeah. From what we know, from what we've read and understand, yes. And Kevin says, wow. And Nancy, how you doing? He says, disgusted with America. Pathetic. Yeah. America, yeah. It's pathetic to say the least. And Terry, he says, I boycott so many companies already, but I'm only one. Denny's, IHOP, all non-Black salons and beauty supply stores. I have iterated. I'm sorry, I was having a misconnect. Iterated, and irritated.
Irritated.
Yeah, right, because I was seeing something else and I was trying to read something else. My bad. Irritated and ridiculed by a lot of people when I say I don't shop there. Well, because they don't understand. You know, you hear a lot of Black people say, well, they're nice to me. They don't treat me bad. They treat me nice when I go in there. Well, lucky you. But what about your sister or your brother that they don't treat nice? So is that, are you just concerned with you? Or are you concerned with your people in general? And so, yeah. But in addition to not spending your money in those type of places, we also, and I know that you do it, we also have to spend money with our people. You know, they say that we are good at boycotting. We boycott Black businesses all the time. I ain't gonna shop there. They prices too high. Well, they don't never have a napkin when I go in there. I ask for 3 pieces, 3 ketchup packets, and they only give me 2. So we do that a lot, right? And
remember the movie I'm Gonna Get You Sucker, Chris Rock? I just want one rib.
Right, and that kind of stuff too. You know, how much for a little drink of soda? I don't want a whole cup. I just want a half a cup. Terry says, I'm never introducing Donovan to my sons. Yes, he's a piece of work, okay? And Tahiri says, at Terry, no one will be courting our votes. Other groups will be courting. Yeah, because they know that. They know that they've done such a great job on suppressing not just our vote, but just Black people in general. For one, they don't have to work very hard to get our votes. They're like, we got their votes. And we might have to go and cut a 2-step in the church every once in a while, but nothing major. Now we got to court the illegal immigrants, as you would, and really get them on board by showing them that we're willing to sign all of this legislation for you and do all of these things because we are the party, and I'm talking about the Democrats, that you can trust. And so they already have our votes. So they've done enough work all these years to make sure that we won't go anywhere. They give us hope and change and symbolism, whatever that is, and we're good. And Tahiri says, no one will be, I read that. Okay. Let's see. And Terry says, Biden, oops, let me go back. My comments jumped up. You say Biden said as much did he? I almost forgot about that. And then Elnora says, if they made the movie in reverse, would it still be shown? So, and which movie was that? Is that the Judas and the Black Messiah? And Terry says, Donovan, from military brat to military brat, that is not the same thing.
Well, actually it is, Terry, because as you know, as a military brat, when you go to military schools, that is a private school. It's a private institution. So if it's a private institution, which a lot of white kids go to, white people are not going to let their kids go to superior schools. When you're a teacher for the DOD, you're not a teacher that just, there, you're getting paid a significant amount of money. Teachers are getting officer rates and all that other stuff, whatever. So it is kind of the same thing. The only difference being that it's more disciplined and stuff like that. But what I mean by the white experience is, let's say it like this. When the military, when I was overseas, they had gone to the tower concept because the base had got cut off and stuff. They took all of these people from North Carolina, just mostly the Black infantry troops that had families in Okinawa. They put them in the towers. Ask me what happened to those towers. Anytime you need a payment, anytime you need a thing, it turned into good times. It literally turned into good times until the military came in there and said, this shit is not going to happen. And then they got rid of that concept because it did not work. So yes, in my opinion, maybe we're different. It's a white environment. You're in a white environment. They're not going to let you do this. They're not going to let you do that. And I tell people all the time, 24 years in the military is set up like a slave plantation. That is what it's based on. It's based on slavery. I outrank you, you do what I say, no matter what. I mean, that's just my opinion, my experience with it. As an officer, I can say one thing, but it's going to be done this way. Doesn't matter if I'm right or wrong. So that's just my opinion.
All right now. And Terry Tahari says, Terry, yes, he admitted the truth. And Donovan says, please ask yourself what legacy your political hero or representative has. If you can't think of anything, you may want to vote for someone else. And Kevin says, I was intending to list 10 BOC, but I refer to you.
Black-owned corporations.
Black-owned corporations. Yeah, okay, these acronyms. Black-owned corporations, but I refer you all to Forbes magazine top 100 Black-owned businesses. Please go look. Okay. And Elnora rather says not much mouth. And
Ben Crump.
Yes, him. That's what they call him. And Marcus, you said, I always thought that when we got tired, we would come together and step up. But now we have long been tired and are now broken and still refuse to step up. I think the problem is that we don't want it bad enough and we're not willing to do the work to get it. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. And I just think we also keep hoping and praying that Massa is going to treat us right. That one day he's just going to wake up and say, you know what? I've been taking these Negroes through the stuff for almost 500 years. And bet you by golly, wow, I'm sick of it. I'm going to treat them right now. It's about high time that I make them equal and I give them their money that we've been stealing from them ever since they've been over here. We keep thinking that if we just vote in the right white man, eventually we're gonna get what we want.
I'll be damned. I'm gonna be responsible for what my ancestors did. Fuck that shit.
Joe Biden. Terry says that's what's up. Thank you. And Donovan says, please take out Demetra K on the African Diaspora News channel on YouTube for more insightful information and news. Yes, I am a contributor on the African Diaspora News channel. Please check me out over there. And Elnora says, Minaj's dad killed in a hit and run. So Nicki Minaj's dad killed in a hit and run. Is that what that is? Oh, wow. How horrible.
Yeah. Condolences and stuff like that. But you know, and condolences to be, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but this is what we're talking about. That's terrible. It happened. But look how quickly that information gets decimated. But then the Black reparations is buried in California. You don't hear about it. You don't hear about stuff like that. So-and-so is censored for sleeping with their intern, Black representative. You know, that's the difference that kind of kills me. Anything entertainment, everybody knows about it. But when it comes to stuff that's serious to us, we don't know about it.
Right. Hello, Demetra. And Kevin says, thanks, I will. I have been longing for a news source. So you're talking about the African Diaspora News channel. Yes. And Terry says, single mothers still discount the importance of dad makes in the lives of his children. Children need their parents, both of them. Absolutely. You need the dad, you know. And Donovan says, question everything. And Marcus says, in 2020, in my town, Blytheville, Arkansas, with a population of less than 12,000 and now 70% Black, we now have had 17 murders this year so far, but we have had 110 Black churches with a set price for the burial of Black men who continue to kill each other here. And I say this, the understanding that we're not ready and it seems we'll never will be. Wow. 110 Black churches? Well, how many churches do you need? And they probably all raking over the money hand over fist. That is crazy. And then the 17 murders with a population of 12,000, 70% Black. Yeah, that see. Oh boy. And Kevin says, Donovan, we are not natural killers and takers. So no Israel for Africans born in America. You are so right. No population, no power. Yep. And that's the plan. Get these Negroes out of here. And Elnora says, my only Black restaurant around shut down due to the pandemic. I took pictures of the notice on the door. Yeah, it's probably 50% now of Black owned businesses that have had to shut their doors. You know, they were already struggling before the pandemic, and then here comes the pandemic. wiped them out. A lot of people said it was hard to get the loans and, the PPP loans and all of that kind of stuff. So it's just, but, with all the money we have in our community, there's no reason why we can't save ourselves. I mean, we should be thinking about sustaining ourselves first. If a Black store or business that's going out of business, instead of going over to your Kroger's or whoever, drop a couple of dollars in that Black business to help them stay afloat, because we're really going to be screwed when this is all said and done, if ever, right?
And again, you guys got to remember, this is a continuation of what happened in 2007. Back then, do you guys realize the Black community lost a third of its wealth in 2007 during the foreclosure crisis? Because a lot of our wealth was put into our homes that we own. That's the biggest piggy bank that we have, the equity in those houses. They lost those houses. Now look what's happening now. So if we don't have any wealth, that $1.73 trillion that Dimitra talked about gets reduced significantly as they make us a permanent underclass. So correct.
Yeah. And, those, the houses that we lost during the 2008 housing recession, those loans, most of them were written out of racism anyway. We got those balloon payments and, the high interest rates. It was just a mess, right? We got houses that we really couldn't afford anyway, right? You got those stated loans. There was just a lot going on. And when the housing crash happened, that affected us predominantly. And so we just need to wise up and, stop falling for it every time, right? We need to be able to sustain ourselves, because we don't hear the Asians as much talking about, oh, I need a stimulus check, and we hear white people because they're, predominant in population. So you're going to hear more of them, but it mostly affects us as Black people because we mostly work in the service industry jobs. It's just a fact. And Terry says, exactly, Black businesses do deliver. I don't usually have to leave my house to shop Black. Right. You can order online from Black businesses. Yeah, I mean, if you truly wanted to. I mean, it takes a little work to find them, but if you're dedicated to helping Black businesses, then you'll do it, right? And Tahiri says, we have too many selfish Black people, too many working against Black empowerment. Right. I mean, what was I reading earlier? Something, can't remember what it was, but it had talked about that. Most Black movements, and you guys, if you saw the movie Judas and the Black Messiah, and in every organization, Black organization, is usually Black people helping to take them out. They're more than willing to do it for whatever reason, willing to destroy a whole movement, and it'd be us, And Elnora says, menace to society. And Terry say, wow. And Kevin says, it is the whitest thing in the military. And the Air Force was even keeping poor whites out, slavery and caste system. And Donovan says, I love Terry in her comments. She needs to come on and guest co-host. Absolutely. And Faith says 100. And Elnora says, my point exactly. We knew within the hour about Minaj's dad. Yeah, I mean, it's sad, but that's the kind of stuff, that we'll post about. I guarantee once I get off of here and I go on my social media, I see everybody and their mama talking about Nicki Minaj's father. And I'm not saying he doesn't deserve some shine, but, when is the last time you talked about the plight of Black people and the things that we really need to do to get ahead? Because I hate to say this to sound like an asshole, excuse my French, Nicki Minaj is going to be all right. Nicki Minaj economically is okay. She doesn't have, losing your dad it's I'm sure she'd give all the money in the world to have him back. But at the end of the day, she's going to be all right. But we're sitting up here talking about, the loss of Nicki's dad, and we're not all right collectively.
Right. I just want to I'll put the link in the podcast. There's a young lady that was on actually Dimitra's show. Her name is Tamara Johnson Shealy, and she has a podcast or a show where she talks about keeping up with Congress, and she is going through all of the congressional bills that are being put forward. And and here's another good example. There's some bills in there that might affect us. What if they put a slavery bill in there that they're going to repeal the 14th Amendment? How fast would you guys hear about that? And that's the kind of stuff that we need to do. So let's pass the word on stuff like that.
Most of us wouldn't hear about it until you got the shackles on your feet. Be like, wait, I didn't hear about that. Yeah, it was a bill, but y'all was too busy trying to get Trump out of there. So now you're taking your asses back on the cotton plantation, and some of y'all gonna go, to the battlefields. But nevertheless, you'll be a house Negro, you'll be a field one, and you'll be a yard one. All right. Hey, Mr. Pirate Brain, how are you? And Terry says, if we didn't go to the Black churches, they can't get rich off of Black death. I don't think we'll ever collectively get hip to the Black church and corporation. No, we won't. And it's sad. I'm in Houston, and we are under a severe weather watch, and it's gonna snow if it's not already. I'm like, what is that noise out there? They're gonna close down the city. Really most of Texas, I think, because you hear that. Yeah, because of the weather, it's gonna be icy and black ice and all that. I should go back to Southern California. And Tahiri says, funny, my late grandparents born in 1917 used to say, we're not ready. Now, and here we are, over 100 years later, we still ain't ready. And Lynette says, yes, we've lost plenty under the Obama administration. No. What you're not going to do, you ain't going to talk about Obama. What you can't do is talk about Obama, Beyonce, and Jesus, okay? No, but no doubt we did. Obama didn't do anything for Black people. In fact, it got worse for Black people under Obama. It's just a fact. I know a lot of people get mad about it, but it is what it is.
And with all those shootings and things that are still going on, have you guys noticed that Obama and Michelle are silent when it comes to Black issues? And then you're going to pal up with a known war criminal known as George W. Bush. But we don't think about stuff like that. Look at who these people associate with. It's crazy.
Yep. That's her homeboy. They be passing peppermints up in the church. And Terry says, in my neighborhood, all of my Black neighbors lost their homes to the city. When it became my turn, they underestimated the fight. So you was like, not today. But yeah, that's what they do. They, especially now, they do with all this gentrification going on. They'll ask you to sell, and if you don't sell, they'll eminent domain. Because they want to put up a plaza. They want to put up a Starbucks in the shopping centers for the buppies, or not the buppies, the yuppies. The buppies are the Black people.
Yeah, real quick, my friend that's visiting me for a couple of days, we were talking about that, how because she's from the South where they have all this land and stuff, and I say generation fail, which is the baby boomer generation, and I don't mean that to be negative. I mean that to be true, because all the knowledge that they were taught by their parents, they didn't pass on to the next generation. So all that land is being lost because nobody taught these kids how to pay property tax. What's that? Nobody taught them how to, cultivate the land or whatever the deal is. So as soon as they get it, grandma had that house that everybody met at for generations. It took grandma 40 years to be even eligible for the house. They finally get the house. They get the land, going through all the discrimination they did. They raised 3 generations of kids. Everybody meets there. Grandmama dies. And what happens to the property? The kids either sell it or they lose it in a sheriff's sale.
Yeah, absolutely. And Marcus says, and what does it say that the coronavirus original strain did not take hold of Africa, but now out of nowhere comes a stronger strain that is doing the job the original strain could not do? Yep, they call it the African version of the virus now. So yeah, most definitely. And Terry says
they nickname it the Black Death. It's always got to have a negative connotation.
Stop it. And Terry says, mine is the only Black family in the neighborhood who successfully fought against the city taking my home and won. Yeah, and that's the way it is in a lot of used to be Black neighborhoods. It just went in and gentrified and did what they wanted to do. We need a freeway right there. We know you've been there for 3 and 4 generations, but we want a freeway exit. Come on.
Yeah, and let's not talk about what the city does. I am the last Black person in my neighborhood. I mean, the Hispanics have come in and, they bring in their family. This used to be an all-white neighborhood, military community. There are no more Blacks in my neighborhood. They're all gone. A lot of them, they aged out and went on to, become ancestors and stuff. And their kids just sold the property. I get notices all the time from my Asian neighbors. Hey, man, are you selling? Are you going to be selling? No, I'm not selling. I'm not going nowhere.
Right. And Kevin says that's deep. And Terry says, I'm going to do it, family. I am. I was already weighing, it was already weighing on my heart. Yes, do it. Do it, please. And let us know where we can find you. Absolutely. And Charlie says, online shopping black. You put up our website, We Buy Black. Yes, I actually go to that website, We Buy Black. You can find a whole bunch of stuff. And Donovan has put up Tamara Sheely's website there, Johnson Sheely rather. And Kevin says, buy stocks and create African-owned marijuana-related businesses and make investments while weed stocks is low. Yep. That's a good business to get into.
Yeah, and Kevin, if you think weed stocks are low now, when Demetra and I started buying stocks, you're talking about less than $1, less than 50 cents. So we were, smart enough to jump on it really, really early. So to me right now, stocks are they're still cheap, but at $14, $15, $23 an hour, that might be a bill for a lot of people. But again, why is it that when black people say, do this, do this, do this, her brother's a financial guru, people were losing their piss because they missed on that opportunity to make money during the GameStop sale. But when a black man says it, oh, no, that he don't know what he's talking about. But let the white man say it, people made thousands. Here's one of them right here next to me, thousands of dollars. And, it can't be done. So, yeah. But marijuana stocks is good to get in. I mean, that bill has been sitting on Mitch McConnell's desk for 3 years. It's just a matter of time before it's legalized on the federal level.
Absolutely. And Faith, you say, please drop the link to her podcast so those of us who are interested can follow. So you're talking about Tamara Sheely Johnson Sheely, rather. Learn and support. And Elnora says, God don't exist. Best way to deal with that. And Donovan says, one of the top insurance agents in Nevada and California, Shemaya Osipidin, for all your insurance needs. And Tanaya, what's going on with you? He says, right now we're at 47% of black businesses lost, right? Almost 50% since the pandemic. Is like, Lord have mercy, but hopefully, we'll get our stuff together, right? And Faith, you say, no Obama. No Obama was a disaster for the black community because they lulled us to sleep. Yep, that was all we wanted. Ooh, we finally we got a black president. Everything's going to change. We're going to click our heels together and everything is going to be good for black people. And nothing could be farther from the truth.
Yep, and guess what? The symbolism of it, he didn't play a saxophone. He didn't wobble. What he did, he shot a jump shot. And we were like, woo-hoo-hoo.
And he jacked up Al Green's song, okay? He did do that, right? And tonight it says, Donovan, many were buying houses they couldn't afford. Yep, that's what it was. Those, stated loans. And, I work at Taco Bell, but let's just say I'm making about $60,000, $70,000 a year. And it's like, oh, okay, all right, sounds good to me. It was predatory lending is what it was during the 2008 housing market crash, right? And Tahiri says, Obama was selected. How does a biracial black white junior senator become the leading candidate in a party?
I'll tell you what, because remember during that time, what was going on? Occupy Wall Street. It was going on all across the nation. The people were ready to just turn this mother out. They were ready to turn it out. Remember, Hillary Clinton was running. They met in that hotel in Baltimore. And that's when the decision was made that they were going to go with Obama because nobody had seen anything like this. And guess what happened? When Obama got the Democratic nomination, what did Occupy Wall Street do across the nation?
Yeah.
There it is.
Yep. And you guys, we got a couple more minutes here, but we have a Cash App up here. If you feel so free to do so, you please donate something to keep the show going. Anything that you have is much appreciated. And for those of you guys who have already donated, much love to you as well. And let's see here. Terry says, Donovan hit the nail on the head. My grandma made sure to teach us the importance of land ownership. Right. Now we want to sell it. When grandma dies, we get left some property. We want to sell it, because then for one thing, she leaves it to a couple of us. Then we want to fight over it. Why, I don't want to keep the house. I want to sell it. Give me my money. Just give me my money out then, and then we don't keep the property and we don't have a house in the family anymore, And Faith says years straight facts. I think, or yes, straight facts. Says we were not taught about legacy, generational wealth, and life insurance. Yeah, we used to. They used to teach that kind of stuff. You know, I always talk about it. Both of my grandmothers were domestics. They worked for white people, you know, watching the kids, cleaning the houses and all that. And they were able to buy stuff, houses, you know, land and all of that kind of stuff. They were able to do it, but they understood, you know, how to save. And, you know, then they cooked everything from scratch. They sold, you know, they didn't just go trick their money off because they had it. They understood the value of buying property, right? So yeah. And Terry says Donovan knows exactly what he's talking about. My white neighbors always call code enforcement on me instead of asking me to move. How many of our people had less resolve and gave up? A lot, because they fall for the appeal to authority. Well, if the people are calling me, I must be in the wrong. Let me just go ahead and move instead of like you're saying, but like I ain't going no damn where. Okay, it's my house. So absolutely. And Ravana, how are you? You said, what's up, y'all? And Terry says, Tanaya, that 47% just gave me a headache. That hurts. Yeah, they said nearly 50% of Black-owned businesses are out of business due to the pandemic. Just wasn't able to sustain itself. And Rose, how you doing? It says, too many N-words in cycle of jail spending their birthday inside of a cell. We're coming from a long bloodline of trauma. We raised our mamas. Lord, we gotta heal. We're hurting our sisters. The babies are, well, we're killing our brothers. They're poisoning the well, distorted self-image. We set up to fail. J. Cole. All right, so it's a lyric from J. Cole's one of his songs. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, that's what's going on here. We do need to heal. We need to, and Dr. Joy DeGruy talks about how we as Black people are not well. We suffer from post-traumatic slave disorder or syndrome, rather. We're not well, and we need to do a lot of work to undo some of the trauma and the things that we actually learned from slavery. And Tahir says the U.S. government is growing specific strains of marijuana in Mississippi. They even have a patent on a strain. Yeah, they getting ready, you know, to make it all legal. Hopefully, when they see, the thing is though, they probably having an issue with making it legal, because if they do that, it's like, well, we do got a whole bunch of Negroes that we gave life to for a nickel bag of weed, you know. So we're gonna have to let them out. We'll figure out how to do it or not do it. I mean, that should be on Joe Biden, since, you know, he was the godfather of those bills, right?
Not even on his agenda to fix the bill that he authored. Not nowhere near on the agenda.
Right.
And are there any Black congressmen holding him accountable to that and saying, okay, look, I got this bill. We need you to correct this. We need you to fix this. Ain't saying a word.
Nope. And Tanaya says, at Terry, it's sad. And they're saying by the summer it's going up. Congress needs to help these Black businesses. Well, you know, they say they are, but when Ice Cube tried to get in there and do his contract with Black America that addressed helping Black businesses, Negroes lost their mind.
Yeah,
you know, they're mad.
And you guys got to remember, okay, and I'm not talking to you guys. I'm talking to, you know, to those people that ain't listening and don't use their common sense. When Joe Biden talks about, I've got to help the middle class, he's not talking to Black people. The majority, 70% of Black people are not in the middle class. We live barely above the poverty line. And they say the poverty line is about $14,000. If you live that, you are poor. The average Black person is about 17,000. So we are at the poverty line, just about it, or below it. That's 70% of Black people. So when Joe Biden talks about helping the middle class, he's talking about white people. He's not talking about you. What is it that you guys don't understand about this guy?
Absolutely. And Terry says, don't even get me started on the government selling weed while our people are doing life. I should have read that comment. I'm over weed simultaneously. Absolutely. And Pamela, how are you? We are doing fine. I'm glad you're doing fine as well. And Marcus says, I say a passport and stocks. I repeat, passport and stocks. Oh, Donovan, your top 3 stock picks for the week. And Kevin, hold on a second. Kevin says, I really hope Africans born in America genuinely consider at a minimum register and donate with the Black Panther Party. We have got. What do we have to lose? And Lynette says, yes. And I am sure the marijuana will be injected with all kinds of poison, just like the tobacco industry did. Yeah, it ain't the weed that our parents were smoking. There's a whole bunch of other stuff now.
Exactly. And that kind of goes into my stock tip. Again, I am not a broker. I am not an expert. I'm just somebody who happens to look at numbers, and I'm very good with it. And I'm very lucky. Okay. So here are my thing, because that exactly is what we're talking about. The United States government does not have the ability to grow marijuana in strains, because the United States government cannot be run as a business. It does not run as a business. It can't make anything. It makes laws and regulates and all that other stuff. However, R.J. Reynolds, the biggest tobacco company in the United States, they and other tobacco companies are the main people that are ready to pounce on this marijuana thing, because they have the fields, they have the machinery, and they have the distribution and all of that to get this stuff going. So I would tell people, if it was me, and I've already started doing it, I started investing in tobacco companies like RJ Reynolds and all that other stuff, just to be ready. And I didn't invest heavy. I invested very, very low, because cannabis is the stock you want to get on, and Tilray and the hemp stock. So those are still the major stock that you're going to get. That bill is imminent. The Democratic Party, I forgot the senator's name, he is bringing that bill up, because remember, this pandemic has looted a lot of states' coffers. So what is one of the only ways they're going to make that money back up? Cannabis. They're going to be pressured to do something about that somewhere within the Biden administration. That's my top advice.
And not only that, you keep the people high, you keep them sedated, and they don't see what they should be seeing, right? So there's all that going on. So anyway, we are at the end of the comments. We thank you guys so much for being here with us on the Demetra K Show. If you guys are into Valentine's, please go enjoy the rest of your day and all of that, and be with your sweetheart, the one you love. And sometimes the one you love is just you, and that's okay, right? And Kevin says, and those are the companies, should be targeted by the entire African community. All right. So again, thank you guys for being here. Thank you, Donovan, for being the co-host here. Thank you for Marcus and Rose for everything you do behind the scenes. Thank you, YouTube and Facebook, the other side of the conversation. You guys make this so much more fun. And we will see you guys tomorrow on the War Zone. I don't know what we're talking about, but I'm sure it will be a blast. And you guys do have a great and fabulous evening, and we'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace.